Hi everyone, it's Chrissie and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today's build is another family home and this one is actually for my save files. So this is actually for my rebuild Windenburg project and it's actually going to be the house for the Munch family. So Mila Munch and her 3 boys. So yeah, I decided to move them from their original lot and I'm actually building them a house on a smaller lot. So originally they used to live, they're still in the same neighborhood, so this is like the rural kind of countryside, area of Windenburg, hence the whole countryside family home title of the build. But yeah, so we're still in the same neighborhood of Windenburg. But I did move them to a smaller lot because their original lot was just I wanted to use it for something else and I ended up using it for my Windenburg chapel build that I did honestly at this point probably years ago by now. But yeah, I'll leave that build linked on the screen. But yeah, so I decided to just move them to a smaller lot because their original house was really I don't know, it was weird. It was just weirdly laid out. It was only a 1-story house. The original lot that they lived on was a 40 by 30 lot. And for me, that just seemed kind of unnecessary because they didn't really have any spectacular outdoor spaces, if that makes sense. So it's not like they had a really big garden space or a really big pool or, anything like that. It was just this weirdly shaped, weirdly laid out 1-story house, which just made no sense to me. So I decided to, use that lot for something else and I moved them to, I don't remember what this lot is originally called. It might say it up in the left hand corner of the screen. It's way too small for me to see it on my editing software. But I think it's it's not the summer house lot. It's something else. I think it's rustic residence or something. But anyway, it's a 30 by 20 lot. It's a lot that's actually, the orientation of it is landscape instead of, what's the word, there's landscape orientation and then there's horizontal, I don't know. Anyway, it's a landscape oriented, so it's wider than it is, I don't know. Anyway, you guys know what I mean. You can see what I mean on the screen. The orientation is a little bit different from most of the 30 by 20 lots that we have in the game. So instead of having a backyard, they have a side yard. And their house is actually quite big. Or all things considered. It's actually a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom house. So there's 3 full bathrooms upstairs and then a half bathroom downstairs. And they also have a office space in downstairs. So they have a totally separate office room. That could also be a 5th bedroom if you needed a 5th bedroom for whatever reason. But yeah, so we have Mila Munch, who's obviously the mom. Then she has a young adult son called Gunther, a teenage son Wolfgang, and a child son called Lucas. Now, they're obviously EA Sims, so I didn't go too in depth with their backstories or anything like that. I actually haven't even thought of a proper backstory for them at all because they're EA Sims. So I just ended up, giving them a bunch of different skills. I think I changed up their careers and stuff a little bit as well. And I just gave them lifestyles and, likes and dislikes, all of that stuff. And I did upload my made over, I almost said renovated version of the family. But my made-over version of the family, I will upload them to the gallery along with this build in case you want to download my version of them. Because, I did give them makeovers and all of that stuff as well. You can see them standing around in the front. I tried not to change their overall, style and vibe, as much as possible. I tried to keep it as, not default, but as true to their original as possible. So I just tweaked them a little bit. And just changed some of their really, really terrible outfits into something else. And also I used a bunch of different packs with them and all of that stuff because originally they were just base game and get together. But because I'm not restricting my save file pack usage, I just decided, give them makeovers with everything. And obviously the build also has probably every single pack in it as well because that's just how I build, unfortunately. But yeah, so this build is one that I actually started way back in like 2020. I started it in September of 2020, and I did basically the whole exterior. I did go back in and change up I believe I changed up like the landscaping a little bit. I also changed up the like little garage bit and stuff like that, you know, off camera. But anyway, I basically did the whole exterior of the house. I did the whole first floor of the house, apart from the like garage, because I did that later on. But I basically did all of like the living spaces on the first floor as well as the study. And then I just left it. I just left it unfinished, and I've had this footage on my computer since, you know, September of 2020. So it's been almost 2 years, and I figured, you know, it's finally time to finish this because it is for my save file. I do want to get it done. And also because I really wanted to work on some of my older builds that I never got finished. So yeah, that's something I'm trying to kind of like systematically get through, is like I'm trying to systematically work through some of my older and unfinished builds, and, you know, go through and, you know, see which ones, like which of them I can actually like salvage and work with, like this one for example, and which ones I just want to completely scrap and start over because I started them like years ago and my building style has completely changed, or they're just not working anymore, or whatever. But yeah, so this build is definitely a little bit of an older one. And then the other day, like last week, like I think it was sometime in this week, I can't really remember, but I went back in, I found this build, saw it, and decided to just basically, I changed up a couple of things off camera before I started recording again. So I changed the garage a little bit. So I actually put in garage doors from City Living. I also lowered it down inside the garage with like the platform tool, because that's something that we didn't have access to back in 2020. We didn't have access to the platform tool. We also didn't have access to the pond tool, like the actual like terrain pond tool. So you will see me creating a pond in like the yard that I actually did in the old way of making ponds. So I had to use a fountain and then just hide the edges and make it look as natural as possible. Now, I didn't change that because I do really like the way it actually looks. Even though it's not an actual pond, it's technically a fountain. But I really like the way that looked, so I decided not to change it up too much. And also because I already had the backyard or like the side yard or whatever, I already had that kind of laid out the way I wanted it to be and all of that stuff. And if I went in and decided to mess with the terrain and all of that stuff to create a pond, then it would have just ruined it, and yeah, it would have just been way more work than it was worth, if that makes sense. Because, you know, the original one that I'm creating right now doesn't look too bad. It looks totally fine. It does look a little bit man-made, obviously, but, you know, maybe that's on purpose. Maybe they actually, like, put in the pond, and it's not one that was just here when they got the house, because it, like, ends perfectly at the fence, if that makes sense. So maybe it is supposed to be one that, you know, they put in, and that's totally fine as well. But yeah, so currently we're just working on the backyard, and I do go in, you know, obviously all of this stuff is stuff that I did in like 2020. So I do go back in later on and I change up the terrain paint a little bit. I add a couple of things as well way at the end of the video. So I actually end up adding in a couple of planter boxes. I also end up adding in a chicken coop, because that's just something that I thought would like kind of fit with this family. They're in the countryside. It's a very like rural, almost farmhouse vibe in this area of like Windenburg. And also I figured because Mila is actually like really into cooking, she's actually in the culinary career. I believe I have her at like level 7, I think, of the culinary career. I think she's like a pastry chef or something in the like actual chef branch of the career. So she's really into cooking and she's really into baking, all of that stuff. I actually made that some of her likes and dislikes and all of that stuff. So yeah, she's really into that. She also likes gardening, which is something that I don't think the like EA version of her liked, but I decided that it kind of fit with like my like I don't know, my idea of her in my head that I had in my head. So yeah, she also likes gardening. That's why I added a couple of planter boxes. In my head, she she likes growing her own like produce and stuff. So I did end up putting in a couple of plants in all of the planter boxes, mostly like fruits and vegetable type things that she can harvest and cook with. So I have that. And then also I thought she would like having chickens for, you know, the fresh eggs and all of that stuff that she can also use in like cooking and baking, all of that stuff. And then also because her youngest son Lucas is actually really into like the outdoors. One of his traits, or like his only trait because he's a child, is that he loves the outdoors. Now originally EA actually has him in the, I think it's like the Garden Gnomes, like the Garden Gnomes club that came with Get Together. But I actually removed him from that because it's just weird. It's a club that's kind of weird that I want to rework completely because I'm adding in a bunch of different clubs and, you know, you're really using the club system in my save file. So I decided that instead of using a lot of the EA like clubs, I'm just going to either completely like rework them or delete them and create my own from scratch. So yeah, Lucas isn't in that club anymore. He's actually in the Scouts. I did put him in the Scouts like after school activity, and I'll be putting him in a like Scouts club as well later on once I get to figuring out more stuff in Windenburg. But also because he likes the outdoors, I figured, you know, the whole having like chickens and stuff, maybe that's something that he helps Mila with. He helps her, you know, take care of the chickens, take care of the garden, you know, all of that stuff, kind of stuff. And then that she also has Gunther and Wolfgang. Now Gunther is, I believe one of his traits is actually that he's a loner. I could be wrong. I didn't write their traits down. I do have like a little list of things that I wanted to remember for this voiceover, but I didn't write down what their actual traits were. But I believe Gunther is like kind of like a loner bookworm. That's the vibe that he gives off anyway, and just the vibe that I decided to run with for his like character and the way I decorated all of like his spaces. So he actually was unemployed originally, but I ended up putting him in the freelance writer career. So that way he's not super, you know, successful or anything like that, because I believe his original backstory is that he's like trying to write a book or something like that. He's trying to become an author. And I figured, you know, having him be in like the freelance writer career, you know, he could make money and work when he wants to, like accept jobs for that career. And then he could work on his book in like his free time. Like maybe most of his time is actually spent working on his own writing, his own book or whatever. And then he just does freelance gigs, you know, as he needs to or as he wants to or whatever. And yeah, so that's the vibe that I actually had for him. So the office that I end up putting in downstairs is kind of like his little like writing cave, if that makes sense. So there's a desk in there, there's an armchair, a bunch of books, and I really made it very cluttered and very like, you can see someone spends a lot of time in here and does a lot of reading in here. So there's like book clutter and it's just books and stuff everywhere. So yeah, that's definitely where I can see him spending most of his time. And I also actually gave him the coffee fanatic and indoorsy lifestyles because I just figured that's totally Gunther. He wouldn't spend time outside, you know, gardening or like barbecuing or anything like that. He's very much an indoorsy person. And then obviously Mila, I also gave her a lifestyle. I gave her the people person lifestyle because I just figured that's one that, you know, she would definitely be someone that likes having people over, likes having her neighbors over, you know, having like a big grill in the backyard with her friends, stuff like that. And then moving on to Wolfgang, who's the teenager, I actually ended up putting him in the Rebels club. So that's actually one of the EA clubs, but I ended up reworking it and reworking all of like the members and all of that stuff. So I can't really remember if he was in the Rebels club originally or if I just put him in it, but I put him in it in any case. I have him in it. And then he's also like really into gaming. I have him being really into like mischief and snowboarding and rock climbing and all of that stuff. So his room is also very messy. It's not a neat room at all. It's very messy. It's very cluttered. There's stuff everywhere. A lot of gaming stuff as well. So that's why I thought he would be into gaming. I also ended up giving him, his own TV and game console in his room. So yeah, he's very into gaming. I also gave him the Adrenaline Seeker lifestyle, just because I figured, you know, it kind of sets him apart from the rest of his family. He's maybe really into like extreme sports and stuff like that. So like snowboarding, rock climbing, you know, all of that kind of like extreme sport type things. So yeah, that's Wolfgang. And then obviously I already told you about Lucas, who's the kid like being in scouts and all of that stuff. He's also in the League of Adventurers, which is another, again, EA club that I just ended up reworking a little bit. And yeah, like I said, I'm trying to use the club system that came with Get Together as much as possible, because it's one of my favorite systems in the game. It's one of my favorite things that they've like ever added to the game. It's one of the things that I always miss whenever I go back and play like The Sims 2, for example, or even The Sims 3. I always miss the club system. It's such a handy system to have. And it's even really handy for like non-club related things. So, you know, obviously in this case, I'm using it as it kind of was intended to be used. You know, having like a Rebels Club and, you know, a League of Adventurers that's just a bunch of kids and stuff like that. But I also use it a lot for like just family gatherings and family clubs and just getting a group of Sims together to do whatever I want them to do. So yeah, it's one of my favorite and most used features to this day. Whenever I play like my current household or whatever, I always play with a club system, and I always have my Sims in like multiple different clubs. But yeah, so that's basically the whole family. Now back to the build. So basically I told you guys what we have downstairs. We have just like the living spaces, we have the office, we have a formal dining room, we have the garage as well that I do think I end up furnishing on camera. I don't know. I can't remember what I edited out of this video and what I didn't. But yeah, so downstairs we also have a laundry area as well, and then just a half bathroom. And then upstairs I did end up cutting out all of the bathrooms. That's something that I do remember. I remember that I ended up cutting out all of the bathrooms just because the video was already really long, and honestly, it's a bathroom. I keep saying this in my videos recently, but honestly, it really is. It's just a bathroom. There's nothing interesting in it. If I ever do like a really big mansion or something, and I do like a really intricate bathroom or a really fancy fun bathroom where I do stuff that I don't normally do, then I'll try and remember to show it in a video. But honestly, most of my bathrooms are all exactly the same. Maybe the color schemes are a little bit different or something, but they're all just bathrooms. And I do include them in the screenshots of every single one of my builds. I always include all of the bathrooms in the screenshots. So if you want to see them that badly, then just stick around for the screenshots till the end. But yeah, so upstairs we have Mila's bedroom that we're actually working on right now. From her bedroom, she actually has access to an ensuite bathroom that actually goes into a walk-in closet. And then we also have Gunther's bedroom, we have Wolfgang's bedroom, and then Lucas's bedroom. And then there's also 2 full bathrooms upstairs. So one bathroom has a toilet, a sink, and a shower. And then the other bathroom has a shower tub combo, you know, obviously with a toilet and a sink. So yeah, those 2 bathrooms in my head are the ones that the boys would probably be sharing. Maybe Gunther has like, maybe the one with just the shower is kind of like Gunther's bathroom, and he's kind of like the only one that uses that because it's right next to his bedroom. It's not like an ensuite or anything, but it's like right outside his bedroom. So maybe that's his bathroom. And then the bigger one is the one that Wolfgang and Lucas shares or something like that. But anyway, so yeah, that's basically the whole house. And I already explained the backyard and all of that stuff. But yeah, all of this that you guys are seeing right now, like all of the upstairs furnishing and stuff, are stuff that I did like earlier in the week when I came back to it. So yeah, we have a lot more packs to choose from. We've gotten quite a few packs since, you know, way back in 2020. We also got obviously the country living pack, which is something that I also used quite a bit of, you know, in like the upstairs and the bedrooms and all of that stuff. I really wished I had it when I was doing the living room, because I think a lot of the country living stuff would have worked really well in like the main living spaces, but I didn't want to redo everything, so I just ended up leaving like all of the furnishing that I did. way back when. I just ended up leaving all of it like it was. I changed a couple of things, like maybe I changed like a curtain or a placement of something, or like added something. And I also changed up a couple of like the exterior things. So I changed up a couple of the windows and all of that stuff, just because I can't remember what my thought process was when I built the house originally. So I just went back in and decided, you know what, this doesn't work and needs to be changed, and then I just changed it. But yeah, so I used a bunch of the newer packs that we got. I used a couple of the kits as well. Obviously, we have, laundry downstairs. I wanted to include a vacuum in the house because it would have made a lot of sense. It would have added a nice, like, realistic touch. But I didn't do that because I don't know why. I end up almost never. I can't honestly remember the last time I actually included a vacuum cleaner in any one of my builds. And that's not because I don't like the kit. I don't really like the kit. Like, I don't dislike it. It's not one of my favorite kits ever. It's just one that I never ever use. I never use the Bust the Dust kit. It's really irritating. It's really irritating having to have your Sims vacuum all of the time. Sometimes I'll turn it on and I'll play with it in my current household for maybe like one Sim week, and then I'll just turn it off again because it's really irritating. But yeah, I guess that's why I don't ever include vacuum cleaners in my builds, is because I don't know how many of you guys actually have that kit, and how many of you would actually even like keep the vacuum cleaner even if you have it, and how many of you would actually play with it. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below if that's something that you'd like to see me do, just for like realism purposes. I mean, I like adding clutter and all of that stuff. And all of the clutter in the game is literally just for, aesthetic purposes, just to make it look nice. It's not actually serving a purpose. So maybe I could add a couple of like vacuum cleaners in my builds and just have them be like decorative. If you have the kit, then you can just turn it on if you want to play with it. And if you don't want to play with it, then just turn it off in your settings and just keep the vacuum cleaner there for aesthetic purposes. That's what I do a lot of the time in my current households. I'll put down vacuum cleaners and hoovers and stuff just for how it looks, just to make it look realistic. I don't ever actually play with it. So yeah, let me know if that's something that you'd like to see me do at some point. But I didn't do it in this build because yeah, I tried not to go overboard with kits, especially because I know not everyone buys the kits. I know more people are likely to have, an expansion pack, for example, or a game pack or something, rather than a random kit that they released, because they've been releasing kits a lot recently. Like, the majority of the content that we've gotten in the past 8 months or so has just been kits, and honestly, I'm not happy about it. I'm really not happy about it. I'm really missing having a proper pack release, like a game pack or a even a stuff pack. I mean, we haven't had a stuff pack since what? I believe I think Paranormal was our last stuff pack that we got. I could be completely wrong. We have so many of them at this point, but I think Paranormal was the last stuff pack that we got. But I mean, I would love an expansion or a game pack or something, just something that adds more than just a couple of items to the game, if that makes sense. Because honestly, I don't even know what kits we have at this point. I tend to forget which ones we have. I know we have the Blooming Rooms one, just because I use that a lot. I use the plants from that a lot. I know we have the Decor to the Max kit, because that's the most recent one that we got, and I do like a couple of the items that came with that, and I do use them quite often. Like the rug, for example, and I don't know, maybe like the coffee table, stuff like that. I do use those quite a bit. But other than that, honestly, I can't tell you half the kits that we have. But yeah, so I tried not to use too many of them in the build, just because I know not everyone has them. But if I do ever use an item in a build, and if you go to the gallery, if you go to the gallery and you click on a build and you see, it lists out, what packs was used in that build. If you actually click on the pack icon itself and go to the tab that says used in this build, or used whatever, something like that, something with used, And if you click on that, it will actually show you exactly what I ended up using. So it will show you that, you know, I used this chair, this rug, and this window from Seasons, for example. And that way you can go through all of them, and or just the ones that you don't have. And if you don't have, let's say you don't have cats and dogs, and you click on the cats and dogs icon, it'll show you I've used maybe like one rug and one plant from cats and dogs. Then you know that, you know what, I can download this build and I'll only be missing the rug and a plant. And then you know what, I can easily replace these items and put in my own items. It's not something big, for example. And also same thing with, it'll show you, oh, I've used a kitchen counter. And if I used a kitchen counter, you probably know that the whole kitchen is from that pack. So if you don't have that pack, and you don't have the kitchen set, then you're just going to be missing an entire kitchen. So it kind of shows you, you know what, you can download the build without missing too many items, or you know what, you're going to miss like half the build if you download this without all of the packs, if that makes sense. Actually, I don't think that did make sense. I think I just rambled a lot just there, and I don't know how much of that actually was like a proper, I don't know how much of that actually made sense. I'm recording this at almost 2 in the morning. I'm really tired. I slept really badly. I had a really busy weekend and a really busy day, and it's been a lot the past couple of days. The past week actually has been a lot, and next week is probably going to be a lot as well, because I'm changing a lot of stuff like IRL, and a lot of like, I don't know, like schedules and schedules and routines and all of that stuff is like, they're all changing next week, or I'm hoping that I'll get them all changed and get something that works a little bit better, but it's going to be a lot. So if I'm a little bit all over the place in voiceovers or videos for the next couple of weeks, or if videos are a little bit all over the place, then please bear with me. I will try and keep you guys as updated as possible on the community tab. And also, if you want to know more like IRL stuff with me or the channel or anything like that, then follow me over on Twitter. Twitter always knows everything first. So yeah, if you're not following me over on Twitter, you definitely should, if you want to stay up to date with, what's going on with the channel or just with me. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, give the video a like. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to see some more Sims content, feel free to hit the subscribe button, and remember to turn on the notification bell as well to be notified of whenever I upload a new video. But I hope you're all having a great day and that you've had a great week and weekend, and I'll talk to you all in my very next video. Bye everyone!
It's been 4 weeks since you called, and I've been waiting here for you all along. I've been waiting here for you all along. Where you been? Where did you go? I wonder if you found what you're looking for. Wonder if you found what you're looking for. I hope it's not too late. I want you back here with me. We never should have said it's better this way. I'd rather be with you than someone I don't know. Now it's like we're living in 2 separate worlds. Come on back to me. Say that you won't go. I can't cope without you, and I wanna hold you close. Say that you won't go. Say that you won't go. It's been so cold without you here. We barely said goodbye before you disappeared. It's been so cold without you here. I'm not gonna lie, don't know what I'd do without you. Maybe we could try to figure out a way to put our past aside. I've realized I only want you. I hope it's not too late. I want you back here with me. We never should have said it's better this way. I'd rather be with you than someone I don't know. Now it's like we're living